Hello and welcome to Camp Legend. I hate to say it, this is our last week of Camp Legend. I'm going to miss checking in with you guys every day, seeing what you guys create, and honestly, I just look forward to seeing your smiling faces in those pictures, and it makes me smile to see your creations. So I hope that you enjoy our last week of camp and have a chance to build some really interesting things and things that mean something to you. So our theme this week is that of Black Lives Matter, and I'm sure that many of you have heard of this movement before, and we've been hearing about it more in the news lately, and I feel that it is really important to celebrate those lives, educate ourselves, and it starts even when we're little. So the activities and books and everything that we are going to be exploring this week all come back to Black Lives Matter. And we're going to do that through a celebration of Black people in the STEAM world. So each of our books and our activities that go back to the books all celebrate those lives, those inventions, those contributions that Black people have made to not just the STEAM world, but the world in general, and how we are where we are today because of their contributions, their knowledge, their experience, and that it's our chance to celebrate those voices and raise those voices and those people up. So I'm excited for this week because I feel that it's going to be a really powerful week. So with that being said, we are going to jump into our first activity. For our book today, we read Whoosh, and this is Lonnie Johnson's Super Soaking Stream of Inventions. And I remember when I was little and my brother got his first Super Soaker when it came out, and he was just like, man, he had it. It was the latest thing. It was all the craze. Everyone wanted a Super Soaker. So I really could relate to this story, and I didn't know the history behind it. And so I learned a lot about that. And what I loved about this story was it actually took place, I think it was on the first page. It said there was nowhere to keep his rocket kits, and then talked about all of his other things, his bamboo shooters, rubber band guns, erector sets, go-kart engines, bolts and screws, and other spare parts that his dad let him bring in from the shed. And I know that I hoard recyclable materials. I have a whole container in my office just filled with them. So whenever a student needed something or I needed something, it was just there. So I know that hoarding experience. So what we are going to do today is kind of think about what could we do to make our own little invention? And maybe this is something brand new, original, or maybe it's your take on something that someone else has done. Maybe it gave you inspiration or the idea to do it. And so we are going to start out with a fun little scavenger hunt. And I'm really excited about this. I've been looking for the right opportunity to do a scavenger hunt. And I thought, man, if any day was this, based on those first couple of pages in that book, we have it for a scavenger hunt. So for our scavenger hunt today, we are going to find things that we have in our house that will allow us to create an invention. And like I said, maybe this is something that you design that's unique or a useful invention, or maybe even a take on something that someone else has done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a riddle. And every time you solve that riddle, I want you to pause this video and go and retrieve that item wherever you have it in your house or wherever you are at. And by the time we get to the last riddle, I believe there's 8 of them, you'll have all the materials that you need in front of you for our STEAM activity for the day. So let's get started with our first riddle. So my clue to you is, or I should say my riddle for you is, I sometimes have lines on me, and other times I am blank. I am made from a cut-down tree, although I am not a plank. What am I? So take a minute, pause the video. If you know what it is, go ahead and find that item. And if you're not sure, wait a few seconds and I'll share what the answer is. That's right, it was paper. So I thought I'd kind of start out with an easy one. Let's move into our second one here. This is an item you use to write something to be read. You keep it sharp on one end. In the middle, there is lead. So what am I? If you know what it is, pause the video and then come back when you're done. That is right, a pencil. Hopefully you were able to figure that one out pretty quickly, especially after the paper clue. Moving on to our third riddle here. You might use a lot of this for a fight in the summer. If it leaks inside your house, you need to call a plumber. What am I? That is right, water. So for this one, you might have had to maybe get a cup or a bowl or some sort of container or something to have your water in, maybe a water bottle. It's going to be awfully hard to just hold it in your hand. So hopefully you have some container or something with your water in it. Moving on to our fourth riddle here. Some are used for fabric and some are used for hair. Some are used for paper and one is called a pear. What am I? You got it, a pair of scissors. All right, these are probably getting a little bit harder, so let's move on to our fifth one here. If you're needing something adhesive, as attaching stuff is your goal, then make sure you come looking for me. I am always on a roll. What am I? Tape. That one might have been a little bit trickier. I know that word adhesive is a big word. Basically means something sticky where you can stick something to something else on there. And tape usually comes on a roll. So moving on to our sixth riddle. I am long and skinny. I am usually placed in cylinders. My purpose is to help drink, and cold things often surround me. What am I? Hopefully you were able to figure this one out. That is a straw. And I know that also had another big word in there, cylinder, so hopefully you were able to figure out and find a straw somewhere. Okay, on to our seventh riddle. I am shiny on one side. I am dull on the other side. People often use me to cover food. You can find me rolled on a tube. What am I? And that one was foil. Sometimes people call it aluminum foil or tin foil. So maybe you were able to find a piece of that or a roll of that. We won't need a whole roll, that's for sure. But some foil. And our last riddle here. Oh, just kidding. It's not a riddle. It is a free choice. This is where you get to pick one other item of your choice that you can use for your invention design. So we are going to be using all these materials that we collected through our riddles to help us design something. So now you can pick for your free choice whatever else you might think you need to create something. So take a minute, pause the video, and go grab something for your free choice. All right, hopefully you were able to gather as many materials as you could from those riddles. And if you didn't have them on hand, that's okay. And as we're going to use our engineering design process, and something might come to you that you can maybe use as a substitute for that. And that is totally fine. So we're going to get started by asking ourselves some questions. We're going to ask ourselves, what could we do with an invention? What might our invention look like? Just start asking yourself all those questions, and we'll check back here in a minute. All right, go ahead and start. All right, let's bring our asking to a pause here a moment. One thing I would like to clarify after I did my own asking here is that you do not need to use every material from the scavenger hunt. These were simply just meant to help get you thinking about a design. It would be great if you could use all of them, but don't feel like you have to. And if you try one of the materials in your design and it just doesn't work, and believe me, you'll know right away if it doesn't work, especially when you do your testing, feel free to try a new material and see if it would work better with your design. And if it wasn't part of the scavenger hunt, totally okay. Don't limit yourself. These items that we gathered from our scavenger hunt were just a starting point. So just keep that in mind. Don't limit yourself in your thinking. So let's go on to our imagining phase and see what we can, now that we've asked ourselves some questions, see what we can do with those questions to turn them into ideas. Remember, we're just brainstorming any possible thing that we might need to be able to create, or anything that we might possibly need. So go ahead and start imagining. All right, let's bring our imagining to a pause here a minute. And I know that I'm really excited about my idea, and I don't think I'm actually going to use all of the materials from the scavenger hunt myself. So just keep that in mind. It's totally okay. They're just meant to be a starting point. So now that you've done your imagining, let's start building a plan. How will this look? How will it work? What else do we need? Come up with those list of other materials that you might need, and just start putting them all together in your plan. All right, go ahead. All right, let's bring our planning to a pause. And hopefully you have a good idea of where you are going with your invention or your adaptation of a design. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. I know I'm super excited about my design, especially as here in Michigan, I think it's 94 and it's humid and sticky and gross. So I'm really excited about what I've come up with. So why don't you take some time, go ahead and start creating, and we'll check back here when you're done with that and see how everything turned out. All right, welcome back. As you can see what I created here. I created these little sponge balls. I had some, for this one, I had a bunch of different sponges that I had laying around, and I just cut them into strips. And then I secured them with a zip tie in order to keep it nice and tight so they stayed together. And these were actually part of like a dish wand that I had. So I took those apart and once again put a zip tie through the middle to keep them all together. And I thought it was really fun because it's so hot here. I was inspired by the story of Lonnie Johnson and his super soaker. So I thought, hey, why not make something that the kids can use outside to kind of cool off and have fun with? So, and plus they're just kind of fun to squeeze. I like that. Almost like a little squishy, a little fidget. So that's what I made for mine today. And so I didn't use all the things that were in the scavenger hunt. I used my pencil to kind of use as a guide for measuring because I didn't have a ruler on me right away. So I kind of marked with my pencil, measured and marked with my pencil. And string and tape did not work for holding these together, which was my original thought. So you can see as I'm going through that testing and improving phases that things that I tried, the tape, and that did not quite work. So I used zip ties to hold these together, and they are definitely kid approved. I can tell you that for sure. So, and of course, I'm sharing with you here now. And I really can't wait to see what Lonnie Johnson inspired you to create, and as far as an invention or an adaptation of an invention. I know that there's so many things out there that sometimes you feel like, what else could I create that no one already has? Chances are you have an idea that someone hasn't thought of yet. So make sure that you share down below, and so we can see it in the Look and Learn. Fill out that daily roll call so what you can share with us what you created and everything. And keep in mind all throughout this week that I know that some of the videos and things that are shared might be kind of a sensitive topic to some. They might cause you to have a lot of questions, and that's okay. Feel free to talk to your teachers, your parents, or other trusted adults about these things that come up, because honestly, the more we know, the better we can be as an individual. And at the end of the day, kindness always wins. So be kind to those around you and keep on creating, and share that with others. Share your kindness, share your creations, and share part of you, share part of your story and who you are. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day.